Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, scroll through your newsfeed, and there it is. China has officially surpassed the US as the world's top economic powerhouse. Wait, what? It sounds like something straight out of a headline you'd expect in 2030, right? But in reality, this is no longer just a theory. It's a very real possibility, and the shifts happening right now could change the entire balance of global power. So, here's the question. Who's winning this economic battle? Is the US still holding on to its crown, or is China about to pull off the most shocking economic upset in history? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only have a better understanding of the fight between these two economic giants, but you'll also know exactly how these shifts impact you. That's right, whether you're scrolling through TikTok or planning your next big career move, the decisions made by these two nations will affect your future. But first, let me ask you something. When was the last time you heard the phrase trade war between China and the US and thought, well, that's over? Sounds like something out of an old economics textbook, doesn't it? The reality, though, is that this war is still very much on. And right now, it's shaping up to be an all-out battle, one that could determine the future of the global economy and your place in it. To get to the heart of this battle, we need to start at the core, the foundational strengths of both economies. And no, this isn't just about GDP and numbers you see in textbooks. It's about what makes an economy powerful in the first place. It's about innovation, infrastructure, and most importantly, adaptability. The US has long been the undisputed leader in these areas. Take tech, for example. The US is home to some of the world's largest and most influential companies. Think Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Tesla. These companies aren't just contributing to the economy, they are the economy. In 2023, Apple alone generated over $390 billion in revenue. And if you look at the financial markets, Wall Street still holds the keys to a vast portion of global trade, with the New York Stock Exchange controlling over $28 trillion in market value. American universities are often at the cutting edge of groundbreaking research in fields like biotechnology, AI, and space exploration. Now, let's talk about China. China's economic rise has been nothing short of meteoric. It didn't just jump into the global stage, it built itself there. In just a few decades, China transformed itself from a manufacturing-based economy into a global powerhouse. You can't ignore the country's relentless push in industries like electric vehicles, renewable energy, and artificial intelligence. In fact, China is now the world's largest manufacturer of solar panels, with over 70% of the global market share. China's electric vehicle market is also booming, with sales in 2023 reaching over 7 million units, accounting for 60% of global EV sales. If you're driving a Tesla or shopping for the latest iPhone, chances are a piece of it came from China. Here's the catch. While China has made massive strides, there's still a big gap when it comes to innovation, the kind of breakthrough tech and ideas that can fundamentally change the world. It's not to say China doesn't innovate, it does. But it's still playing catch-up in key areas like software development and AI when compared to the US. According to the 2023 Global Innovation Index, the US ranks 2N globally for innovation, while China ranks 14th. And that's not all. The US still has an edge in terms of global influence. Why? Because the US controls the levers of the global financial system, with institutions like the IMF, World Bank, and the US dollar as the global reserve currency. In 2023, the US dollar still represented 60% of global currency reserves. Simply put, the US economy isn't just big, it's deeply connected to every part of the world. But here's the big question. Is China really closing the gap, or is it just a temporary blip on the radar? Can China maintain its rapid growth, or will it face challenges that prevent it from truly surpassing the US? Hold on to that thought. We're going to dig deeper into this next. As we zoom out to take a broader view of this economic battle, one thing becomes incredibly clear. Both the US and China are engaged in a race for growth. But here's the catch: growth doesn't just happen. It has to be sustained, and sustainability is where the real challenge lies. China's growth has been incredible, but it's been built on the back of massive investments in infrastructure, manufacturing, and export-driven trade. According to the World Bank, China invested more than $3.6 trillion in infrastructure in the last decade alone. But as China approaches its middle-income trap, where growth slows due to less cheap labor and innovation, can it continue to innovate at the same pace? Consider this: China's workforce is aging at a rapid rate. The country is facing a demographic crisis that could significantly slow down economic growth in the next few decades. By 2050, it's estimated that nearly a quarter of China's population will be over 65, a dramatic shift that could impact the country's labor force. There's already a shortage of workers, and as China becomes more reliant on automation and technology to power its economy, it's unclear whether this transition will happen fast enough to keep things running smoothly. The U.S., on the other hand, has a different set of problems. While the U.S. still leads in many areas of innovation, it's facing massive challenges in education and healthcare that are creating economic barriers for millions. The U.S. spends over $4 trillion annually on healthcare, but it has some of the lowest life expectancy rates among high-income countries. Plus, there's the issue of a growing national debt. The U.S. has been running large deficits for years, and the national debt reached a record $33 trillion in 2024. The future of its economic stability is uncertain. But here's the thing: the U.S. has something China doesn't: a culture of entrepreneurship. The U.S. has a massive entrepreneurial spirit that fuels small businesses and startups. In 2023, the U.S. saw over 5 million new business applications, far outpacing any other country. The amount of venture capital funding in the U.S. far surpasses that of China. This gives the U.S. an edge in terms of generating new ideas, new industries, and new sources of wealth. And while China is working hard to push innovation, the government's tight grip on the economy limits the kind of free market growth that's essential for long-term innovation. So, let's pause for a second. Who's winning? Is China's economic growth sustainable, or is the U.S. about to reassert itself as the undisputed global leader? We're getting closer to answering this, but stick with me. This is where things get really interesting. The future of economic power isn't just about GDP or manufacturing, it's about who controls the next frontier. And here's where things get wild. China is betting big on the green economy. Renewable energy, electric vehicles, and clean technology are at the top of China's agenda. China invested over $100 billion in renewable energy projects in 2023 alone. And if they succeed in dominating these industries, they could redefine global economic dynamics in ways the world hasn't seen before. Meanwhile, the U.S. isn't sitting idle. America is doubling down on artificial intelligence, space exploration, and the digital economy. The U.S. invested over $22 billion in AI research and development in 2023. The big question is, who will control the future economy? Will China's focus on sustainability give it an edge, or will the U.S. outpace them with cutting-edge tech innovations that change the world as we know it? But here's where it gets even crazier. Both nations are fighting for control over global influence. China's Belt and Road Initiative has already reached across Africa, Asia, and Europe, making huge infrastructure investments in these regions. In the last 10 years, China has invested over $1.3 trillion in Belt and Road projects. This could give China an economic advantage that the U.S. is struggling to match. The U.S., however, still holds immense power through its military alliances, its control over global financial institutions, and its dominance in global trade. But there's one thing neither country can ignore, and that's the role of emerging technologies. Who wins the race to dominate AI? Who controls the future of global trade in a world that's increasingly digital? That is the real question. Now, we've come full circle. Who holds the future of the global economy? The answer is, it's not clear. China and the U.S. are both playing a dangerous game, and the stakes are higher than ever before. So, here's my question to you. Who do you think will dominate the future? Will China's rise continue unchecked, or will America's innovation power bring it back to the top? Whatever the answer, one thing's for sure: the future of global economic power is being written right now. And if you understand where this battle is headed, you can position yourself to take advantage of the shifts. Whether you're thinking about investments, career choices, or simply understanding the forces that shape our world, this is something you need to pay attention to. And that's why I'm inviting you to dive even deeper. Click the link here to check out my next video, where I'll break down how you can use these economic shifts to make smarter financial decisions. Don't miss out. Let's keep exploring together.